The single dumbest phrase in military history was peddled in our Army only a few short years ago. You've all heard it, maybe in your first 2 years at West Point. Our diversity is our strength. The single dumbest phrase in military history. We had generals saying this with a straight face on national television. It was absolute nonsense. Now, these sorts of silly things can be laughed at when they occur in a civilian lounge or civilian faculty lounge or debated in graduate seminars, but they cannot be tolerated in our formations. These ideas are what get people killed. Diversity is not our strength. Unity is our strength. The call is send us, not send he, not send she, not send they, them. It's send us. Our strength is our shared purpose. Our strength is our oath to the Constitution. It's our embrace of the Army values, the idea of merit, our mission, our absolute commitment to duty and honor and country. These are the things that unify us. Send me becomes send us. Because you are one fighting force, just as we are one nation under God.
I cannot tell you the rage that speech set off of me at my alma mater, the United States Military Academy at West Point, just a couple of weeks ago. And of course, it's Pete Hegseth speaking at the Military Academy about diversity. And I got to tell you, folks, it's disgusting what he was saying, okay? What he was saying there was absolutely disgusting. Because the fact is, our diversity is right. And this isn't a new idea. He wants to call this DEI. Folks, I joined the Army in 1983 at West Point under President Ronald Reagan, and I was taught then that diversity is our strength. We are taught Military Science 101 that an all-volunteer force is a direct reflection of the society it represents. That's literally a phrase I remember from my very first semester at West Point. That's how important it was for me to know that the United States military, the United States Army, represents the United States of America. Everyone, every part of it, every corner of America, not parts of it, not the white parts, not the Christian parts, not just the parts that Pete Hegseth likes, the straight people. It represents everyone. And what's really sick about it, as he goes deeper into that speech there, is it's not send he, they, them. That's not even the phrase. The phrase was send us. Send us. It's a military motto of a unit that was historically a colored unit. Send us. But he had to get his bigotry weaved into his speech, so he changed it to, it's not send he, they, them. It's disgusting racism. It's disgusting bigotry. And to see that son of a gun on the stage of the United States military, and then to weave duty, honor, country into it, while smearing those sitting in front of him of color and women, is disgusting and unacceptable. And what really makes it sick is the top grad this year was a black soldier, a black cadet. And people said there's a lot of jokes on the left laughing after that speech, that how embarrassing it was for Pete Hegseth to be saying that in front of a very diverse audience. No, folks, that was not an accident. It's not parody. It was on purpose. He's sending a very clear message to those young men and women who are of color or minority or gay or straight, that then their 5 years are up, they're not welcome. And the long-term effects of this are generational. Pete Hegseth's racism and the attacks by this administration on diversity amongst our ranks, by the minorities, goes on. And it's definitely an attack. This is a story from the New York Times that just came out. And it talks about how Hegseth has been purposely blocking the promotions. He has blocked promotions of 40 senior officers now. This is unheard of in military terms. Don't tell me Obama did it. He did not do this. I'm telling you right now. There's never been a time in my memory, and I was in the Army at the age of 17, where the Secretary of Defense directly blocked the promotions approved by the services, approved by their promotion system. He's blocked 40, 20. Half of those were women or persons of color, minorities. Half. Okay, that's statistically impossible to be by accident. Statistically impossible, because representation of women and POC in the higher ranks is far, far below 50-50. Okay. This was purposeful. And that's the scariest part, that this man, this horrible human being is purposely hurting our military, hurting those who have stepped up to serve, those who raised their right hand to serve this country in time of war initially, and still. That's the thing. And so today is Juneteenth, and I had the honor and the privilege to shoot the show on Juneteenth and talk to a great guest. Freedom wasn't delivered this country at the same time for all of us. More than 2 years after the Civil War ended, enslaved Americans of Texas only then found out when Union troops arrived to announce it. That was June 19th. Today, many Americans are wondering whether those rights previous generations had are once again under threat. Our Black sisters and brothers have been fighting for their freedom through Reconstruction, through all the terrible things that under Jim Crow, through all of that. I live in St. Louis, Missouri, which was dead center of all of this madness. So I have the honor and privilege to have an incredible guest, of course, today to talk about it, talk about why this holiday matters and why it matters to you and I, even if you look like me. Because, folks, this is a diverse country, and it's getting more diverse by the day. And we are a diverse democracy. And this show is called On Democracy. And our democracy is in danger when we fight back against the rights and privileges and birthright citizenship of even our fellow Americans. And I say that without any reservation. There's no caveat after that. Fellow Americans. So with that, I am thrilled to have you here with me on Friday night. I hope there's a lot of you. Hope you share with your friends. As always, we're here every Friday night on the Midas Touch Network. Let's get going with the show. Welcome. I am Fred Wellman still. This is On Democracy, FP Wellman, every Friday night on the Midas Touch Network. I'm really thrilled to be here today, especially. Actually already spent my morning at a Juneteenth event right here in my region. It was wonderful. I learned stuff. We'll talk about at the end of the show about what I learned today about my own hometown, the town I grew up in, Black history that I was not taught in school. And here I am, 60 years old and still learning it. And that's a story I hear a lot. There's not a day goes by I don't talk to folks about the history of our region. St. Louis was a troubled region for many years, and the racial fights that occurred across our country were dead center here. And for that reason, I didn't learn things. I didn't know about the Tulsa race massacre. I didn't know any of those things. So I'm thrilled to have a guest today who has spent her career on the front lines of these fights. Kristen Clarke serves as an Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights under President Biden. She was the first Black woman confirmed to lead the Justice Department Civil Rights Division. Today, she serves as General Counsel of the NAACP, helping lead one of America's most important civil rights organizations at a moment of extraordinary challenge. I'm thrilled to have you, Kristen. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Wow, what a day, huh? How about that opening tape? What does that make you think? I mean, it's got to be shocking for somebody who's done this for a living.
It's so alarming and disturbing, right? People of color make up significant numbers of our military. Black Americans have served in virtually every war, have served honorably. When you panned out and showed the shot, who Hegseth was talking to, I mean, there were women, there are Black folks, there are Latino folks, there are Asian Americans.
Yep.
Diversity is our strength. I agree
Yep.
with Secretary Hegseth. We are one nation under God, but we are a diverse nation. That is
Yep.
just reality. And people of color every day, women, stand up courageously and honorably to serve our country, to protect this country.
Yep.
And so it's so alarming. And it's why we have Juneteenth. It's a day to really reckon with our history and a day to reckon with the truth about our nation's history. And we are a nation that has long sought to erase the stories and the experiences of Black people in this country. And Juneteenth is a reminder about the need for us to really accept and reckon with the truth.
Yeah.
We are a diverse nation. Um, we have the original sin of slavery behind us, but we continue to deal with and reckon with the legacy of slavery each and every day, and trying to erase the lived reality and experience of Black people who serve in our military. It's just a reminder that we still have so much work to do.
Yeah, and that's it, right? The central themes of Juneteenth is that rights on paper don't mean much if they're not enforced, right? And you're seeing this now. We're seeing the attack on history, and what they call it attack on DEI. It really is attack on Black history at this moment, isn't it? And if we attack history, we also attack rights today, don't we?
That's right. This administration has been working feverishly to turn the clock back and to eviscerate all the gains, all the hard fought gains made over the last several decades to move our country forward. It's not been an easy process. We still deal with racism and sexism and bigotry in our country. And, through the courts, we've helped to break ground and push back against some of those barriers. But in just a year and a half, we have seen this administration under Trump, just working feverishly to take us back to a darker day, to take us back to a moment where we are a nation more divided. And I think this Juneteenth is a moment for us to take a step back. Think about the America that we all want and deserve, and think about the role that each of us has to play in moving our country forward and getting back to where we once were.
Yeah, and you guys have said very clearly that communities of color, especially, are under relentless attack right now. And what does that look like for our communities of color? I mean, obviously, I don't, I mean, how are they feeling that pressure these days? Do you think average Americans, average working Americans, are feeling that pressure?
Yeah, well, we know that average Americans are feeling the pain right now in their households, right? Just the cost of everything is going up. The cost of groceries, the cost of gas. We have a real affordability crisis in our country.
Yeah,
We have people who are struggling for access to jobs and access to housing and so much more. But for Black people in our country and for people of color, we're also dealing with the reality of violence and bigotry in our
yeah.
country. Hate crimes are perhaps the most powerful reminder of that. Um, Racially motivated violence in our country is not a thing of the past. You know, um, the horrific hate crime that unfolded just a few years ago in Buffalo, New York, is a powerful example of that. 10 Black people gunned down while shopping at a supermarket, at the top supermarket in Buffalo. This was just a few years ago. And the defendant there, the perpetrator of this atrocity, is somebody who was inspired by the great replacement theory, this false idea and notion that Black people and immigrants are invading the country and taking opportunities away from white people. And if you go to the White House today, you will not see anything about Juneteenth, but you will find the great replacement theory, a
Mm.
page on our White House, the whitehouse.gov, that is perpetuating this really, violent idea that people of color don't have a place in our country. And it's alarming because this is the kind of doctrine that literally results in modern day violence in America today.
And it's hardly masked. It's not even subtle anymore, right? One of the issues that have been popping up now again is birthright citizenship. Birthright citizenship found its birth itself that the idea came from emancipation, right? It is one more of those things that's come out of the American history. Now that's under attack again. I mean, it is the direct response to the strength of our communities and the strength of our Black community, especially, isn't it?
Yeah, and look, the Constitution is our most sacred text in the country, and the
Mm.
14th Amendment makes clear that birthright citizenship is a long part of our tradition. And we are waiting for a ruling in an important Supreme Court case concerning birthright citizenship. But I think that most scholars of the Constitution expect that the Supreme Court will do the right thing here. If this administration wants to espouse and push forward a different view of birthright citizenship, the right way to do that is amend the Constitution. Amend the
Right.
Constitution.
Good luck with that,
Um,
right?
yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah, and that is an attack on all of it, and we see that more and more. We see the attack on history, the removal of plaques about slavery, the removal. I mean, it's not just I show the military a lot. I'm a veteran, but we are seeing. I mean, are you guys NAACP? I imagine you guys are deep in the fight, knees deep as the general counsel, especially of fighting back against this erasure of our color, our black community, specifically a black community, right?
Yeah, we are. We're pushing back against these book bans that we're seeing in schools. These efforts to strip away stories about slavery, stories about the civil rights movement, stories about Black people that have figured prominently in the American stories. We're
Yeah.
pushing back against these efforts to tear down our stories and our monuments in our national parks, in other memorial sites. We're pushing back against the unmistakable whitewashing of the American story. And Juneteenth is a reminder to reflect on all of the dark and difficult and challenging parts of the American story: slavery, lynchings, Jim Crow violence, right? But it's also a moment to think about the progress that we have made, progress made through the civil rights movement, where an interracial group of leaders came together and said, we need to turn the chapter on Jim Crow. We need to turn the chapter on racially motivated violence in our country. But 2026 is just a reminder that that progress was incredibly fragile, and we still have a lot of work to do to push back against this administration's feverish attempt to take us back to a darker day.
Yeah, and I'm going to take a pause here for our sponsors. We have great sponsors. And I want to switch a little bit about your background and that fight as well. So let's just take a quick brief pause. This will shock you, but my summer is going to be insane. Our boys are home for school. My baseball season's roaring with my Cardinals kicking butt. My day job has me running all over Eastern Missouri. I need easy and fast support for my busy lifestyle. There's one easy thing that only takes 30 seconds for me. It covers all my bases, and no matter what the season's going to throw at me. And that's one scoop plus 8 ounces of water every morning, and that's AG1. Now, AG1 is a daily health drink with a multivitamin, pre and probiotics, superfoods, and antioxidants. It's easy for me, especially. It's just one scoop, like I said. The next gen former delivers about 75 ingredients backed by 4 clinical trials, shown to support gut health, fill common nutrient gaps, and improve key nutrient levels just 3 months of taking it. Now, I've got a lot of late nights in this job, long days, weekends. My life's never a dull moment. AG1 helps me keep going with one consistent, high quality nutritional support every single day. So no matter how I start my morning, I start with AG1. Now, the one thing I need more than ever right now is a boost in my energy to keep going, and AG1 helps me get back the energy I need and bounce back from stress. So look, I want you to visit drinkag1.com/Fred to get a free morning person at free AG1 flavor sampler in your welcome kit with your first AG1 subscription, an $82 value. And all you have to do is simple. Just go to drinkag1.com/Fred. You won't regret it. I appreciate you guys joining us. You may not know from the look of me, but I'm a cat guy. Yeah, you know about my dogs. But have you heard of Shugs the cat? Yeah, this is her. She's a little tortoiseshell cat that we've had. I honest to God don't know how long we've had her. I mean, I could tell you, I have no idea how long Shugs has been alive. She joined my family probably a decade ago, and I've taken her across the country with me. Now she lives here in St. Louis, and I have no help. Look, I don't know how old she is, but you know what? I really want her to live a lot longer. That's why I feed my cat Smalls. Smalls is a fresh, human-grade cat food that does so much more than just feed your cat. Helps them live a full and healthy life. And most cat food out there is made with meat byproducts, cheap fillers, artificial ingredients, basically stuff that isn't great for your cat. But Big Pet Food does this because it's cheaper to make. What they save in cost, your cat pays for with their health. And I don't want that for Shugs. So Smalls is different. Their fresh recipes are made with at least 80% animal protein. They're gently cooked to retain all their nutrients and flavor. They never add fillers or artificial ingredients. Their food is so healthy that 88% of cat parents say that after feeding Smalls, their cats have better digestion, a softer and shinier coat, and more energy to play. And let me tell you, Shugs needs it because it's actually good for your cats and it's very good for Shugs. So your cat's health and longevity starts with what they eat. Try Smalls, get 60% off your first order plus free shipping and free treats for life when you go to smalls.com/Fred. So as an On to Moxie listener, you get this deal for a limited time. That's out one last time. That's 60% off your first order plus free shipping and free treats for life when you head to smalls.com/Fred. Check it out for your cat because I'm doing it for Shugs. Thanks. And so we're back. You, of course, work in the Department of Justice. We've seen some very scary stuff and changes in the Department of Justice. I mean, you led the civil rights enforcement. I mean, since you've left, what are you seeing? I mean, are you horrified by what you're seeing as far as the dismantling of that work? And how bad is that going to be for a lot of Americans as we go forward?
Yeah. The Civil Rights Division of the Justice Department was often deemed the crown jewel of our nation's highest law enforcement agency. It's a
Yeah.
place that has long done the hard work to stand up for Americans in every corner of our country. Every American has benefited from the work of the Civil Rights Division. Um, People with disabilities, be they white, Latino, Black, Asian American, members of the military who sometimes face barriers when it comes to repossession of vehicles while they're in service, access to the ballot box,
Yep. Yep.
voting rights, the discrimination that we see too often inside of our schools, too often that we see when it comes to accessing jobs and housing. Hate crimes, which I talked about, which is literally an area that involves life and death for some communities. This is the important work of the Civil Rights Division. It is work that is not done by any other entity in our country on the scale that the Justice Department is able to do that work. And so in this moment, we're in a perilous place. Every American is more vulnerable because we have a civil rights division that is dysfunctional and a civil rights division that has abandoned its long-standing mission of fully and fairly enforcing the law. They are weaponizing and using a lot of our civil rights laws to try and achieve uh, ends that run fully contrary to the purpose for which these laws were adopted. And in so many instances, we just know that there are communities across the country that are more vulnerable. State attorneys general are trying to step up into that breach and do some of that work, but there really is no replacing the unique role that the Justice Department Civil Rights Division has long played in our country. So it's shameful.
Yeah, and this hurts Americans. I mean, we're seeing it. There's no one fighting it back against every aspect of this. I mean, I think we talked about data centers invading communities of poverty, communities of color, billion-dollar companies fighting small communities. I mean, everything we see is very much directed at our communities of color, especially. And this administration is retreating from any semblance of civil rights, and now even the Department of Education is being dismantled. So the protection of the Department of Education is being moved over to the labor department, which says something really terrifying about their views of our communities of color, don't they?
Yeah. And look, state AGs, are trying to step in and cover some of that ground. And civil rights organizations like the NAACP, we're doing more now than ever
Yeah.
with a government that is, completely absent in this moment, that is causing harm in this moment. But when you think about the fact that the Justice Department was created in the late 1800s, we're talking about Juneteenth.
Yeah.
The Justice Department emerged after the Civil War to contend with violence that we were seeing across the country. Organized groups like the Ku Klux Klan that were using violence to deny Black people access to the ballot, Black men, newly enfranchised Black men, access to the ballot, organized violence. Literally, some of the very first cases that the Justice Department undertook were cases fighting these kind of white supremacist efforts across the country. And so that commitment to justice is something that runs through the DNA of the department. And to see this administration literally
Mm.
break the Justice Department in the way that they have, should have every American outraged right now. I don't care if you live in New York, California, Florida, or Wyoming. Every community across this country benefits from the full and vigorous enforcement of our federal civil rights laws. They were passed by Congress for a reason. These are laws on the books to respond to real problems that we face today. Um, I did this work honorably across the country on behalf of white folks, Black folks, Latinos, people with disabilities, women experiencing sexual violence, and an absent Justice Department is something we should all be incredibly outraged about in this moment.
Yeah, and Congress needs to do their job to oversee that and investigate
Right.
that destruction. I know you've all got a short time because it's a holiday, and I appreciate you being here on a holiday. I always like to try and give some people some hope at the end of this show. I mean, I am a hopeful person. I've got my Ted Lasso. I guess is there anything at all? I mean, in this moment, it's hard to see it, but listeners are frustrated, exhausted. What gives you hope right now, Kristen? I mean, as you do this, because you have to have hope when you do this fight, don't you?
You do. You do. It's sobering, I think, just to focus on where we are. But what gives me hope is seeing how galvanized people are. I was
Yeah.
just down in Georgia this week where they were preparing for one of
Mhm.
these racist gerrymandering sessions where they were going to dismantle majority Black districts for no reason at all. And the NAACP locked arms with our allies across the state, and they reversed course. They have,
Mm.
for now, abandoned that effort. And so that's what gives me hope that people are not home,
Right.
sitting on the couch and writing this moment
Mm.
out. People are
Right.
strapping up and on the front lines. And the most important thing that we need to focus on in this moment is voting this midterm election cycle. It's just not an
Yeah.
option. And that also gives me hope. I think there is an incredible mobilization to turn people out this primary and general election season. And that is what's going to really get our democracy back on track.
I love it. Well, where can people more find out more about your work, find out more about the NAACP, and then start helping out more?
Yeah, they can visit naacp.org. And most importantly, they can register to vote, check
There
their
you go.
status, and make sure you're ready to vote.
That's it right there. That's the fight of the day right there. So thank you, man. I can't thank you enough for joining me today. Kristen, it's great to talk to you, and I look forward to talking to you again. But good luck in the fight out there.
Thank you so much.
Uh, a great conversation to have on Juneteenth and so much more. So I actually started my day in my district, out and about in my region, talking to folks, talking about Juneteenth. I went to a Juneteenth celebration in our neighboring community, and this is where I want to talk. I want to kind of end on this concept. So you're not going to know who this guy is. Maybe you do. I hope you do. You probably don't. And that's this gentleman right here. His name is James Milton Turner. And James Milton Turner, go by J. Milton Turner. Mr. Turner has a fascinating life. Mr. Turner was a freedman. He moved to St. Louis. He joined the 62nd Colored Troops. He joined the infantry. He actually fought at the Battle of Shiloh, where he was injured. He was an aide to a general at the Battle of Shiloh. And after the war, he made back to St. Louis, and he helped actually found one of the first Black teaching schools. Actually, it's now Lincoln University in Missouri. Was one of the very first schools to teach Black teachers. He was part of getting what they call radical Republicans elected here in Missouri when that struggled, because the Civil War never really ended in Missouri for a long time. And then Mr. Turner actually wrote to President Grant and introduced himself again, because they had met during the war. And President Grant ended up appointing him as the ambassador to Liberia for 7 years, the first African American to hold that position in the United States. He came back to St. Louis, where he passed away. And here's the part that will get you. This is the part that got me about the story. It's my hometown, Kirkwood, Missouri. A portion of our town of Kirkwood is just outside. It's called Meacham Park. Meacham Park was our historically Black neighborhood in my city. And Mr. Turner is buried there. And the school named after him, Turner Elementary School, is no longer open. It actually closed during desegregation of that school district, because it was a traditionally Black school. I went to a traditionally white school, and my school was closed, and Turner Elementary was closed, and we were all bused to a more mixed, more diverse school system. That was my experience as a young child, fifth grader. And I'm 60 years old today, and I learned about Mr. Turner at a Juneteenth event from a wonderful actor who portrays him and his story for those to see. I want to chew on that for a second. I grew up in the town where he's buried. I grew up in the town where there's a school named after him, and I was not aware of him until I hit my 60s. We have a problem in America. We have two different sets of history in America. And I am one of those people who grew up during that time where there's definitely one set of history and another was ignored. I did not know about the Tulsa Race Massacre. I didn't know about the incredible battles that our Black friends have fought. And that is a crime. And now it's being erased again by the Trump administration. Are there lies about DEI or their lies about being politically correct? That is not anything. None of that's true. Every American deserves to be celebrated. Every American's history should be known. This was such intricate history to our nation, to who we are today. The Black experience is one we must understand. And it's most important for people that look like me understand the Black experience so that we can fight for everyone in America, for the rights of every single American without caveat, without change. Okay. People like Mr. Turner changed the country in a better way. And we should all know about that, because if we forget that, if we allow people like Pete Hegseth and Stephen Miller and Donald Trump and his racism to erase the important history and to condemn it as something it's not merit-based, it's outrageous. I never did those things. The gentleman served in the war, was injured, then was a political hack, if you will, founded a school, got government funding for a school. Just take the Black part out. Soldier, combat veteran, teacher, university leader, ambassador for 7 years. Take all that out. That's history we should know. The fact he was first at most of that makes it even more important. So learn the history, folks. If you look like me, if you know a town, know your town, know your neighbors, because if we don't learn it, it will be erased. And if we don't fight for every American, these bastards are going to take over our country and turn it to a white Christian nationalist state, and none of us were welcome. And if you think you're going to get off scot-free now because you look like me, I got bad news for you, because my ancestors, the other half, is Italian. And they weren't treated so good when they got here either. It's just a matter of time. Let's keep in mind, what did Pete Hegseth just do 2 weeks ago? He tried to cut the Mormons out of being considered a Christian religion, causing an uproar among Mormons. Have you seen Mormons? A lot of them look like me. So trust me, just because you're white, maybe you're cisgender, whatever your thing may be, you won't escape from this. They'll never run out of targets. So if we don't fight now for our brothers and sisters, we will never get back. So I really appreciate all you being here this week. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something myself, like I did today. I hope you spend Juneteenth today learning some of this history and studying it. I want you guys to understand that if we lose this part of our country, we're never getting it back. So with that, it's a shorter show this week. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. I look forward to seeing you again next week. Enjoy the holiday weekend. This is a long weekend. In the meantime, find your local candidate, help them out, make a difference in your community, and register to vote right now. You have to register to vote right now. Make sure you haven't been purged from the rolls. Get in there, get in the fight, because without that, we're going to lose it all. As always, you can follow everything we do at our Substack, fpwellman.substack.com. That's the place to find out about all the work we're doing. Every bit of it is right there at fpwellman.substack.com. And I really appreciate your support for that work as well. Look, we're not done yet, folks. We got a fight ahead of us. We do it together. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you again here, 7 o'clock Friday night, right here in the Midas Touch Network. Thanks for joining us.